Mary Murphy, as we're recording this, season 16 of So You Think You Can Dance is in the home stretch, and we're down to the final four: Gino Coscuela, Bailey Munoz, Sophie Pittman, and Mariah Russell. Now, first off, did you expect that these would be the four dancers who made it to the end? When we were going to the live shows and there were 10, did you think, like, these are the four who are probably going to make it, or were there any surprises along the way?
Well, I mean, there was definitely some heated discussion as far as to put Bailey into this top five guys. His size was a consideration. It's always a little bit scary when we put a B-boy in. Will he be able to cope with all the material that he is given, because they are not trained dancers? They're not even used to doing choreography. And I don't believe he's even used to doing hip-hop choreography. So just because you're a B-boy doesn't mean that you automatically do hip-hop. So there was always concern. And, obviously we came to a decision and we decided to go for it. We take our chances sometimes on whether they're going to be able to cope. But obviously he has come along brilliantly. People love the underdog. He has the likability factor. It's more than likability. He's adorable. He's lovable. He is the Rudy of this competition, because every single week he is outside his style. Like, I can't even wrap my brain around doing one choreography and trying to pick that up and put a performance on top of it. And he has been able to do that. He has been able, I think, more than anybody else, really make us feel something. He makes you root for him. It's the wildest thing. And he's just thriving under these conditions, where most people crumble under this. And actually, we see in Academy a week, a lot of the hip hop kids and other kids, they just walk off. They cannot cope. I would be one of those people, I'm telling you. So it's been an amazing journey. Sophie was another one that was under consideration. And we had some discussions on her. Me and Nigel fought for her, and the other two judges didn't really want to put her through. But ultimately, me and Nigel went out, and we put her through, and she is somebody that has come further than we thought originally that she would. She is also somebody thriving under the conditions. Now, Mariah and Gino, I have always seen them in the finale. Everything they did in Academy Week, for the most part, they annihilated. Their solos, when we first saw them, were just amazing. But then again, really it's the Academy Week that kind of gives us more insight to whether someone is going to be able to keep that up. Like, somebody could practice a solo for an entire year, we don't know, and be so well rehearsed and have danced it a million times, and they may just be a one-trick pony. And we've seen that before, that their solo is just mind-blowing, but then when they have to do some other style, they just crumble.
Well, the contestant that I wished would go on was the one you called the Lucille Ball of dancing, because she was very entertaining.
Yes, there was a lot of discussion about her. I pray we get another season. I pray she comes back, because I was certainly an advocate for her. She is an amazing, even though she did a comedy number. What people don't, for me personally, and I do have the soul of a clown, that is for sure. But there is such a gift and appreciation into somebody that could do a routine like that. And I think, but even though she did show us glimpses of the high level technical ability that she had, to be able to make us laugh in a minute and 30 seconds the way that she was capable of, takes a real talent. And I think it's just as important as a technical aspect. And I think it's just as important in life to be able to, laugh and to be able to find the humor in things. And somebody who does not, I feel sorry for them.
Right.
Yeah, and that's one of those great things that you learn on this show about every dancer as they go along, is a lot of times you can teach the steps, but you can't necessarily teach that kind of stage presence, that kind of X factor that someone just really is magnetic when they're on stage. But in terms of just the steps, what would you say is when you know dancer has a certain type of style coming up that's maybe they're not accustomed to, what would you say is the hardest style for a dancer to kind of jump into sort of blind for the first time?
Well, they're mostly so well versed now when they come to the show, but we still throw something in every once in a while. The biggest fear on this show is of getting the quick step. And the quick step has not been on the show since 2009. And tonight you're going to see a quick step. And, back in the day, for the first 5 or 6 years, it was known as the kiss of death on our show, because everybody that danced the quick step was kicked off the show the very next show. So at least now they're in the finale. They're not going anywhere. But will it help them win the show or not is to be determined.
And I noticed, I went through the list of winners through the years, and you weren't even on the show as a regular back then, but there's only been one ballroom dancer to win, and that was Benji Schwimmer in season 2. So what's the deal with that? Well, because I would think they're more technically proficient, and they have to do different, and the strength of their bodies to do what they do. Why is that the case that no one else has won?
Well, I think well, first of all, I've been on every season except for 2. When I started, I only rotated off the judging panel to choreograph 2 times in the first 2 seasons, which, thank God, I certainly appreciate that, because choreographing gave me a heart attack, just like most of those judges sit there, or the choreographers, doing work for somebody in 5 or 6 hours and hoping that they do it right. Let me tell you, is just kills you. So I'm so happy that I'm actually not in that position anymore. At least I know that the people on my watch, they did not fall down. Now, ballroom dancers, the jazz, ballet, usually when you go to those type of schools, there's jazz, ballet, and hip hop. Most of the kids is all usually in one house. I think because of So You Think You Can Dance, there are more studios, and that's why you see so many kids that are successful that come out of Utah, because ballroom is very big there in the entire state. And Mormons are definitely behind ballroom dancing. And I think that's why we get most of the kids from there. Other than that, ballroom dancers stay strict to their style. It's a very specific technique, leg and hip action. It's a very unusual, from the Latin to the standard dances. Waltz foxtrot was so difficult on the show, they've taken it off. I wish they'd bring it back, because these kids are coming so prepared. There are so many ballroom dances that they can't get prepared in all those dances. They just can't. So I was happy to see Quick Step was back, and happy to see, hopefully someday we'll have a foxtrot, because let me tell you, if something's going to put the fear of God in one of those dancers that does not do ballroom, it's going to be that. And so they don't do as many ballroom dances on the show anymore. So most of the dancers, as you can see, we have, contemporary jazz and 3 of the dancers and 1 b-boy.
Yeah.
And he's a star. We found somebody that we were able to kind of, polish him up, and he was just a star. He was a diamond there in the rough, wasn't he? Not having the means to have the dance lessons, being around such a creative environment. All these kids learn and grow during the season, and are taken to a whole nother level, and also challenged like no other challenge they'll probably ever have in their dance career.
Yeah, and you mentioned your time as a choreographer, and one of the great things about this show is how big a spotlight puts on the art of choreography, and you get to see these choreographers work, and they become stars in their own right.
That's right.
Yeah.
It really is the only show right now that really kind of focuses and puts that camera right on, which, you know, in the beginning, that nobody knew that was going to happen. Like in season 1, I can honestly tell you the state of mind of most of the choreographers was like, well, this is the choreography, and you can either do it or don't, and I don't really, kind of don't care. You know, you got to do a triple pirouette. If you fall over, so what? Once all of a sudden the camera went to them, and then they weren't getting the material, boy, did things change, because, you know, you quickly start to go through everything like, okay, that's going to look good on you. No, that's not. Okay, that's going to look good. No, that's not. Okay, we'll try something else. Here, try this lift. No, that's not going to work. You have to make up your mind. For me, I was like, in 30 seconds, if I couldn't see that at the end of those 5 or 6 hours that you could even possibly remotely make that look good, I was like, next, let's find something that looks good on you. Because what looks good on you is going to look good on me. And that camera is coming my way. It's going to put my face there. So you're not just so many times, you know, from movies and television shows, awards and things like that. The choreographer is in the background. You do not see their face. So it's quite a difference, isn't it? When now the camera's on. But trust me, they want to look good. They want those kids to look good. And ever since then, the mentality of it all is so different, you know. And it's an art, by the way, to create something that works in a minute and 30 seconds. It's way different than the process of choreographing something else for a big show, and the process that you go through and the length of time that you go through. You don't have that luxury. You have a wish list, maybe. You know, I always used to go in with an A, B, and C choreography. A, I got 2 ballroom dancers. B, I got 1 ballroom dancer and somebody doesn't know what they're doing. C, it's, oh my God. You know, I probably have 2 untrained dancers. What in the hell am I going to do?
And, well, something a little more serious. I was surprised, but also quite moved and admiring of the fact that Travis was allowed to do the anti-gun routine. It's probably my favorite routine of the season so far. Yeah. And I just wonder, was there any pushback, or was there anything, you know, any response to that from the outside? Because to me, it was very brave, but also it was respectful of what he was trying to depict.
Yeah, I thought you hit it right there. It was very respectful. I think there was a little bit of a discussion, you know, at this point in time and everything, but we have always kind of gone out on a limb with different subject matters, trying to, you know, inspire people. And I thought it was beautifully done. I thought that we only had, as far as I know, great reviews over that, and just admired the work that Travis was able to produce. It was very emotional for all of us. And, you know, it's important work, and that's one of the best things about being able to express yourself in our art form, to be able to put a visual to the feeling with the music, making that music come to life and right in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
And there were so many, you know, different kinds of routines and different styles. What were some of your other favorites? Because I know there are some that stand out for me, like Bailey and Mariah's first hip hop number to tempo. I thought that was a star-making moment.
Was it the one on the motorcycle?
Yeah, the one on the motorcycle.
I definitely think that was definitely one of my favorite routines. The Egyptian piece was one of my favorite routines. Certainly Robert Roldan. There was contemporary piece. I believe it was with Mariah, and there's some extraordinary ones still to come. Last show was probably the best show. Tonight show is simply brilliant. I think some of the most brilliant choreography from beginning to end.
Now, there was a lot of sauce being discussed this season. And
Yeah, it's like a new term that we kind of stick on. The choreographer. Give us the sauce.
Right. Okay. You did the thing like that for Hot Tamale Train, but you didn't say it so much this season. I know.
Well, I don't try to say, a lot of times I'm kind of, edged into it because I want to keep it, I remember the season of American Idol where it was Randy Jackson. He said it, you're in it to win it. And then they played it at the end of the season that he said it to every single contestant. I just want to, I don't want to do that. I just want to keep it special because to me that means like if we had 20 contestants, it always meant to me that I think you should be in the top 10. If I gave you first class tickets, that meant that you were, in first class and that you would be I thought you were going to be in the finale. The season's much shorter now, so there's only 5 boys and 5 girls. So I don't want to say it all the time. I want to keep it special. And, I think I told Gino he was a conductor of the train at one point. Some people I've had to put back in the caboose years ago. You're on the platform and your bags are packed, but you're not there yet. So there's a lot of different things that it means to me. And at least, and plus all the dancers know what it means now, too. I do know that the kids that have been watching it since they're 3 years old, they desperately want to be on that Hot Tamale Train. That's all they've ever thought about. And I think all 4 of these kids have gotten the Hot Tamale Train that are in this finale now.
What's great about dance shows in general on TV is, they've gotten so much appreciation from, in particular, the Television Academy. It's interesting, Dancing with the Stars and So You Think You Can Dance are the 2 most awarded competition shows in primetime Emmy history. And So You Think You Can Dance is actually one behind Dancing with the Stars. So if it wins, Dancing with the Stars I think has won 17. So You Think You Can Dance has won 16, of course. So You Think You Can Dance has had such incredible success with choreographers winning at the Emmys. 2 nominated this year, Luther Brown and Travis Wall. So what is your feeling about, like, one, if the show manages to kind of So You Think You Can Dance can become the #1 most awarded competition show, and just the kinship between all these competition shows, these dance competition shows, really feel like a large extended family, even when sometimes they're on like actually competing shows.
Well, we absolutely do because, for a lot of us that are in my age range, we lived through the times where dancers weren't celebrated in this way and people did not understand what we did for a living and constantly having to explain ourselves and struggling in our art. And now the fact, I have so much pride wherever I go in the world that if you say you're a dancer today, people are generally excited at every level of society and all over the world. People watch So You Think You Can Dance and all the different dance shows. And, they're just genuinely so fired up. And then the fact that they'll know the name, oh my God, I really love that Paso Doble, or I love this hip hop number, or I love crump. The fact that they know the different dance genres, just means so much to me. And when I got asked to dance on Burn the Floor on Broadway, me and Jason Gilkinson was the choreographer for that show, Burn the Floor. For us on the closing night before they went and started traveling around the world again, both of us had tears because he was in my competition circuit through Europe. We've traveled together. We lived out of our cars. We know what that was like, and to be able to hold hands. Woo!
So now I do like Travis Wall's work, but I have to say my favorite routine last year was Juice. And especially when Nigel and Twitch joined in on the finale. It was just amazing. So I'm kind of rooting for Luther Brown this time because that with the yellow coats and the whole thing, it was just like my favorite thing last year. So I'm hoping.
It was so adorable. And, he's been a lot of the choreographers. And like I said, it takes a little bit of time to catch on to how you make something happen and tell a story in 1 minute, 30 seconds. And I think Luther's been on fire this year. Ray Leeper, oh my God, has been on fire. Al Blackstone, well, you'll see. He's on fire. He has now, because I remember when he first came and did a Broadway number, it's a little bit tough he's dialed in, let me tell you.
The Broadway numbers this year have been very good. Sometimes they're a little too, not corny, but too more proppy or something like that. But this year the emotion was in there too.
Yes. I've just adored all the different numbers. And, there's a little bit of pushback with that to get those on air, by the way, to get that type of Broadway, because everybody usually responds to the, wow, bam, hard-hitting type of numbers and trick. And, the audience goes nuts over something like that. To come in and do a classy, a kind of very stylistic, old-time Broadway number, but they have been able to pull them off, and the audiences have been going nuts over it. And it's so cool to, play like Nat King Cole and the kids to go crazy over. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know. I think we have to share what's the now and what has been and what has way back in history. How did we get to here? And to have people appreciate that, it means the world to me.
I want to thank you so much for joining us today and congratulate you on a really strong season this year.
Thank you.
A really great top four. This is one of those really good situations where there's no one to root against. It's really just any one of those four would be really an amazing choice. So
you're right about that. I do think the general feel out there when I'm, even on my social media, whatever, I feel that too, that people would be happy with any one of these four. And the fact that the confidence of this group and this top 10 to put them back out on tour and be confident that it's going to be a very successful tour, it just goes to show you how great this season was.
And looking forward to seeing how it all ends, and excited for the tour, obviously. Thank you for joining us, and thank you everyone for watching. You can come to goldderby.com and predict who will win, and you can of course vote for who will win. So you think you can dance after the show airs. So thank you once again.
Let me know too. At Hot Tamale Train, I'd be curious if everybody's happy.
Bye-bye.
We'll find out soon enough. Thank you very much.
Thank you.